AskReddit by Dizzy ad 1541. People who went from poor to rich slowly. What was the saddest truths you learned about people on your climb to wealthy? Not everyone wants you to succeed. In fact, some will try to make it so you don't succeed. Yep. Family members went from taking credit for my limited success to trying to steal from me, and have moved on to trying to sabotage the success when they can't take advantage of it. My aunt sold my identity to co-sign on a new car for herself. When I called her out on it, she said, "What's the big deal? You can afford it," and then stopped making payments. I let the banks know the loan and co-signing was fraudulent, so she called my employer, past and present, and even my university, accusing me of a series of crimes. She's called the police, accusing me of everything from kidnapping and assaulting minors to financial crimes. I have a detective's card that I just hand the new cops whenever they show up to do a wellness check. Thankfully, it's getting less frequent. Money buys happiness to an extent. It can buy things that make you happy and decrease sources of stress. You will never have enough money as you get used to better quality stuff. It's so difficult to downgrade, so you just begin needing more and more money. And it was easier to be hypocritical about people's values when I was less fortunate financially. Money may not make you happy, but lack of money can sure make you miserable. Wealthy people do indeed lose perspective on the struggles of others who are less fortunate. I visited my family around Christmas, and the topic of how much groceries have gone up in price over the last year also came up. I legitimately had no idea what they were talking about. I've never really thought of myself as rich, but it absolutely made me realize I was pretty out of touch. There are some people who are wealthy because they work really hard and put in many hours at the sacrifice of hobbies, health and family. There are some people who never make it despite how hard they work, sometimes because of poor judgment. There are some people who are wealthy without too much difficulty, like being born into it. I like the analogy of success being a carnival game. Poor people get one shot. People with a support system can play the game over and over until they win. Bezos starting Amazon with a small $300,000 loan. Bill Gates' mom serving on the board with someone at IBM, etc. Looks matter. Hear that, boys? We stay in poor. Stay away from those who envy you. They can really harm you. Also, people see only who you are now, not who you were then. And they may think you didn't work for it. They will definitely think you didn't work for it. They have to justify the envy. My banker warned me when I started my business that people would hate me just for being successful. It's awful in a small town. There is a reason successful people move to communities with other successful people. There is no luxury, no matter how small or how great, that a human won't eventually take for granted. Which is why the striving never stops for most. You might think it grotesque to be bored on a yacht off the coast of France, but it definitely happens. I call this comfort creep. Like lifestyle creep, the more you make, the more you spend. Comfort creep is similar. You start getting things that at first you're impressed with, then slowly that becomes the norm and you need more. 1. People around you want you to be successful, but not more successful than them. 2. People from your past do come back expecting handouts. 3. Money doesn't make you happy. 4. Find your partner while you're broke and build with them. Gold diggers are a real thing. 5. People who are born into a wealthy family have absolutely zero idea about the struggle. There are exceptions, but it's rare. My family was middle to upper middle class, while my husband's family has always struggled financially. And you are right, I had no idea what the struggle was like. The stories I hear about my husband's childhood have been very eye-opening. Deleted. Yup. Some people can't separate people from professions. I've known managers who demanded respect because of their job title. No, you're just an old guy in a suit. A title doesn't mean you can even do that job well, much less anything about you. Do something actually worth respecting and maybe we'll talk. Not wealthy but more than comfortable. Delayed gratification is hard for people. Not having a $30 K-base boat, a $100 KRV that gets used twice a year, and a new vehicle every year, helped me get to where I can buy those things outright, but don't really want them. I've done the math and every $1,000 I save right now cuts 6 weeks off my retirement date, and I'm older than many people here. It makes it easy to stay frugal when you say, $3,000 on a vacation isn't that much. But if I save that money I can retire 4 months earlier. My brother just bought a $30,000 new car and was gently ribbing me for staying in my 15-year-old, 140,000 mile car that runs great. Bruh, that's $600 extra a month between the loan and insurance. Each month I don't earn that is a month closer to retirement. Rich people are just as clueless as poor people, just in different categories. Rich people have a lot more buffer between them and the real world. Poor people learn about the real world when they are being dragged along the sharpest bits of it every day. People who went from poor to rich slowly build character. People who get early success in life build ego. The poor are angrier and more frustrated, and there are real reasons for that. My father kind of did this. He grew up really poor with him and his 3 siblings sharing one room in an apartment. Now he's in his 80s and has more than he could ever spend, even in the American health system dart. The other day he told me that a while back he had bought a bunch of Nvidia stock at about 47 a share just for the hell of it and then asked how come I always still feel poor, so I guess for some people the feeling fear never goes away. It's not really a thing about rich people, just people from poor to rich. I hate all the fair weather friends. Sure, you make friends all over the globe from traveling. Come to Hong Kong, we're flying you to Nick, but they would just as easily fuck your boyfriend, husband, GFETC to take your spot. Everyone is at the same time nicer, more help, service profession contact, and people are always friendly at parties or able to lay it on thick. But there are so many more narcissists, very little room for spirituality, and surface friendships. It's less about how much you make and more about how much you spend and what you spend it. About 10 years into my career I took a new job that came with a raise to $100 K per year. The superintendent I was teamed up with was paid $180 K per year. I had a house and a paid off truck. He or his wife had totaled multiple vehicles, never paid one off, and they'd rented their whole lives. I bailed him out once for something minor and he was sobbing how shitty his life was. I think he eventually divorced his meth head wife when their daughter turned 18 and I hope he's doing better now. 2 of the 3 things money can't buy, class and common sense. Time is the third one, but money sure can rent it with private flights and caterers and maids and drivers. How many people all of a sudden remember you out of the blue from girls that ghosted me to my own sister who I didn't speak to in a decade? How expensive it is to be poor. People with money are given break after break after break, and the lower levels of the socio-economic class are given the shitty end of the stick. And it's probably never going to change. After I got my breakthrough job, more than doubling my salary, it took me over a year to catch up. I remember thinking I should be able to spend maybe $300 combined on Christmas gifts and realizing I couldn't, because I was still catching up. I had done things like go to the dentist, and put tires on my car, and see a doctor for the first time in 5 years. And my dentist ridiculed me for having skipped cleanings. I looked her in the eyes and told her, well, the choice was eat for 2 weeks or pay $100 for a cleaning, and not starving to death one out for several years. People's perspective of you change. My poor relatives think what I earn is also theirs. Even others, like my old roommates or friends. I didn't grow up rich. My parents didn't speak any English and raised us working less than min wage jobs and 6-7 days a week. I worked hard to get where I am now. Not every rich person is a CEO who drives slaves for their own profit. I suppose it depends on what you call wealthy. I'm currently much more wealthy than I ever thought I'd be, so maybe my perspective can help. All the hard work in the world isn't always enough. Not that people shouldn't try to make their lives better, but they should try for acceptance of where they are, and where other people are on their journey. Having money does not equal hard work. There's this belief tied to the American dream that if you're wealthy, it's because you deserve to be. Some people are rich because they worked hard and got lucky. But truthfully, there are many people who will work incredibly hard and never have anything to show for it. I just wish we as a society could stop judging people by the commas in their accounts. Deleted. And the loopholes for the wealthy are abundant. Not even for the super rich either. If you have self-employment income, it opens a lot of nice tax shelters. Deleted. Have any tips on how to see the hidden playbooks? That it can be lonely in multiple ways. First, because the people from your original background may not understand your reality. The differences in value systems, actions, and life objectives can drive a very real wedge between you and them. Second, because the people who are around you now and who have known only wealth may not understand your reality either. You may not have been socialized to interact well in their circles. Basically, you can easily find yourself in between worlds. Deleted. I hope that one day you will be able to genuinely feel that you'll always be okay, no matter what happens. You'll always figure it out and do what you have to do. Eater, I wish you faith in yourself. The only thing money can't buy is time. I watched a family friend lose his wife early from cancer. They threw money at everything, the best oncologists in the world, private flights and renting a room across from Mayo Clinic. Enrollment in millions of dollars of experimental clinical trials. Eventually people bordering on witch doctors and voodoo healers. It all bought her 6, maybe 9 extra months. She died at 48. Tens of millions didn't stop that.